Welcome to the channel of LegalEdge 3 Years LLB. My name is Palash Sir, and today here we are to discuss the Symbiosis All India Admission Test for 3 years program और उसके interview के लिए what are the most important do's and don'ts, what to avoid and what to look out for in your interview guidance, right? So without further ado, let's move on. So, as we all know, the Symbiosis SLS AIAT is almost around the corner. And here I am to guide you with the best practices for the interview so that the final, I would say, step of this ladder is something that we are able to cross with flying colors. And just understand it's basically a strategy session on how to pursue this particular interview. So you need to think clearly, you need to speak confidently, and that will make you stand out. So, like I said, think clearly, speak confidently, and stand out, right? So, without further ado, let's move forward. So this is not a test of how well you know the bare acts or how much basics आपके clear हैं, आपको कितना आता है, कितना नहीं आता है. It's not if you know all the legal definitions by heart. It's not if you can memorize answers. It's just a test of your clarity of purpose, right? आपकी logical reasoning, your communication skills, how well and how clearly you're able to express and communicate your ideas. And lastly, your social and legal awareness. So, mind you, it's not a test of any of these things. Rather, it's a test of these individual attributes that makes you fit in that particular criteria. So, I'll keep giving you a lot of movie examples, movie references also for you to memorize these special requirements for this particular interview. So, as many of you have seen the movie called 12 Angry Men, so there was no, I would say, books, no commentaries, no documents per se, but rather reasoning and argument, which the entire movie was based out around, right? So, you need to have a clarity of purpose, you need to have a logical thinking, your communication skills need to be good, and then lastly, your social and legal awareness need to be very up to date. So the interview mindset that you need. So before you enter this interview, you need to prepare yourself the mindset that you would require to navigate the course of this interview. तो mindset बहुत ज़रूरी है, right? तो उस mindset में आपको क्या क्या चाहिए? You need to think of yourself as a problem solver, as a future professional, and someone who is open to learning, not someone who is a Mr. Know-it-all, right? So they don't need a topper who's reciting everything that they've memorized. They don't need a nervous candidate and they don't need someone who's desperately trying to impress. So you need to strike a balance over here. You need to present yourself. You need to keep yourself very calm in this particular interview, in this particular situation. And the same needs to reflect through your body language as well, right? तो हाई प्रोबेबिलिटी इंटरव्यू क्वेश्चंस जो आपसे पूछे जा सकते हैं जिसके बारे में वी नीड टू बी clear and we need to have an answer is that why 3 years LLB after graduation, what motivated to join or explore this career, right? Then why Simbi in particular, which particular area of law interests you, whether it's civil, criminal, cyber, whatever, right? Any current or legal social issue that you are following. So as we all know कि यार Venezuela crisis हो रहा है which is against international law, right? A lot of things अभी ये they've been Omar Khalid and his accomplice have been denied bail, right? So you need to be UAPA के under. तो ये सारी चीजों के बारे में you need to stay a little up to date because they might ask you, right? Your strengths and weaknesses, and what if you don't get selected, right? So pop culture cue for this one is think of it is as a casting interview where you would be screened in or out on the basis of these few high probable questions. These questions might directly be related to your personality, right? Your statement of purpose, your CV, or your, I would say, choice of career, right? So we need to be very well versed with these particular set of questions, right? How to answer, right? So how your answer should be, how you should frame your answers is very important. So you need to have a very clear answer to everything that they are asking, right? So you need to be very clear and thorough with your background, what piqued your interest, है ना? That also needs to be very objective and clear. It cannot be short term and or just aspirational कि यार for example मैंने Better Call Saul देखा और या फिर मैंने मामला लीगल है देखा और मुझे लगा कि यार मुझे तो वकालत में जाना चाहिए. So all of these things are very short lived, right? So I would say motivation is short lived. So you need to build systems, you need to prepare yourself in a way, have that mental framework to see that picture in the, I would say, longer format rather than ये आपकी शॉर्ट्स वाला attention span नहीं है. इसमें आपको present करना है कि you are capable of having that long term mindset, right? How law, like I said, fits your long term goals. So you have to sound aspirational at the same time, have that very, very, uh, I would say, clarity that they're looking for. So एक ikigai होता है, it's a Japanese term, which means कि for you to be really happy and successful in life, you need to choose a career based on a few, I would say, uh, intersections of a few points. So, for example, if you're good at something, if that thing can make you money, if that thing is benefiting the society, and at the same time, that thing makes you happy. So this intersection of all of these pointers, this is your ikigai, this is your reasoning for choosing a particular profession or particular making a particular decision, right? So if you've made a decision based on these considerations, chances are you will not regret or you'll never regret it. Maybe 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, 15 years down the line, if you have made that decision based on these following kinds or these mentioned considerations, chances are कि आप regret नहीं करोगे. So they might ask you, and they will definitely ask you, कि why Symbiosis Law School? So you need to make a very clear, you need to give them a very clear answer. You need to make it sound like you've actually done your homework. So you can talk about their fest, you can talk about their practical hands-on experience, the exposure that you get through college, uh, the balance on academics and extracurricular activities and personality development. So you need to cover all of these points. My best suggestion to you would be speak to someone who is currently in college or who's graduated from Simbi. So they'll give you a lot of insights of what happens once you are a part of the institute, right? So that will give you a lot of clarity and I would say points to base your framework for this particular answer because you cannot be very vague in this. You need to be a little specific. At the same time, you need to have a clear plan or answer as to why just symbiosis. They might ask you areas of law which pique your interest, right? So safe areas to mention. And again, safe, this is based on my particular preferences. Your preferences might be different. So for example, you might be interested in cyber law over here or something else, right? Could be environmental law for you. So anything that piques your interest, right? Any particular area of law that piques your interest, but then again, be ready for a lot of follow-up questions as well, right? So I cannot I expect here if I'll talk about constitution, they might not ask me follow-up questions. So you need to be prepared with your follow-up. I would say have an understanding कि यार वो follow-up questions तो definitely पूछेंगे, right? And then again, it never hurts to say that I am just exploring this area and I don't know everything, right? Don't be Mr. Know-it-all. लीगल एंड सोशल अवेयरनेस के बारे में वो आपसे एक्सपेक्ट करेंगे कि आपको कुछ पता हो बट वी कैन नॉट बी completely blank and we cannot again be Mr. Know It All. So find that balance, be very updated about whatever has happened in the last few days, right? And especially social legal issues, right? तो वो आपसे ये नहीं पूछेंगे कि यार वर्ल्ड कप कब से शुरू हो रहा है, वो आपसे सोशो लीगल कॉजेज के बारे में ही पूछेंगे. वर्ल्ड कप के बारे में हालांकि पूछ सकते हैं if they matlab if the conversation is something about cricket or anything based on your personal interests, right? The basic awareness which in my opinion you should have is of the new criminal laws, जुडिशियल पेंडेंसी एंड रिफॉर्म्स, लाइक आई मेंशनड यार, वो भी यूएपीए में जो बेल रिजेक्ट हुई है उसके बारे में मालूम होना चाहिए, बेसिक्स फंडामेंटल्स पता होने चाहिए, है ना। मे बी अबाउट दिस वट एवर इंसिडेंट हैज हैपेंड इन इंदौर, उसके बारे में होना चाहिए। सोशल मतलब एआई इन लॉ, डेटा privacy, women safety laws, will not hurt for you to know about all of these topics, because even if they are not being asked to you in the course of follow-up questions, you can always steer your interview in a direction where these might be asked, and if you're prepared on them, it will definitely give you a better edge in that particular interview, right? So golden rule, है ना? Opinion based questions में क्या करना है? Briefly state the issue. You have to present both the sides. You do not have to pick a side in especially opinion based issues. And at the same time, you have to conclude with your view, कि what you feel is right or what you feel is wrong, right? For example, AI can improve efficiency in courts, but unchecked use may affect privacy and fairness, right? Law needs to regulate it while it is being implemented. So फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर कोई एआई इंटीग्रेशन इन लॉ के बारे में आपसे पूछे, तो यू शुड हैव both the sides of an argument ready, and then present a sustainable, or I would say a middle ground, which is not I would say leaning towards any of the sides. So have a very balanced answer. Don't be very opinionated, in my opinion. Then they might ask you your strengths and weaknesses. तो यार ये मत बोलना कि I work too hard, I care too little, and I'm always available. मतलब don't be very generic, don't be very corny, be very real, be very raw with them. So if you have a few things that you feel are you're confident about and these are your strengths, so present them like that. And if you have any shortcomings, then present them, but present them in a way which doesn't undermine your personality, right? So your shortcomings could be, Kiara, I used to overthink, but I've learned to structure how my thoughts are. So, for example, personally telling ki I spiral at times, right? I am also a pathological overthinker. But then I've learned to master my thoughts. I've learned to navigate them in the right direction and not spiral on things. Do's and don'ts of an interview, very, very important. Your body language will give away the impression, your words will not. Matlab, your words will definitely give an impression. What you talk will definitely leave a lasting impression, but how you sit, how you present yourself, how you are conducting yourself physically through the course of that interview will also make a lot of difference, right? So you need to maintain eye contact, you need to sit upright, you need to pause before answering. You need to speak very very clearly. You need to pause before answering, मतलब अगर वो कुछ एक क्वेश्चन पूछ रहे हैं तो you don't have to cut them short, right? You have to let allow them to ask that question, and only then you start answering, right? uh, तो वो करना है. Do not bluff, do not rush answers, then it is again relating to this, and don't use very complex heavy words unless and until you are very good at your vocab, right? So make sure कि अपन को शशि थरूर यहाँ पे नहीं बनना है ना? And तो मतलब you have to be very balanced, you have to be very real, you have to be very raw. Don't try to pretend a lot. ट्रिक क्वेश्चंस भी पूछे जा सकते हैं आपसे, है ना? तो these are just free few trick questions that might be asked to you by the panel, है ना? And ये your tip is you have to answer with maturity and not impulse, है ना? तो you have to clearly give them a thought कि यार why not MBA UPSC or job, या फिर what if it doesn't work out? You have to be very honest. At the same time, you have to be very realistic with them, right? Common mistakes to avoid: don't have a negative attitude, right? Memorized answers काम नहीं करेंगे. You don't have to be overconfident. You have to maintain a balance between being underconfident and overconfident. So being confident in the right absolute proportion or manner is what is expected out of you. You don't need to be nervous. You don't need to be cocky, right? You just need to be there in the moment, and you need to have clarity of thought. Final 24-hour checklist would be you need to revise, मतलब go through your CV, go through your statement of purpose, है ना? पिछले 7 से 10 दिनों की headlines पढ़ना, revise your personal story, why you want to pursue law, why you want to pursue law, especially from SLS, and address formally and simply, stay very calm, and just just be yourself. Just don't try to be something that you are not, है ना? Because that will give yourself away. So just these are the final, I would say, points that I have in this session for you. If you like the session, stay tuned to our channel, subscribe, like, and share with all of your friends. And I wish you all the very best for your upcoming interview. I hope you do well and you get selected.